Hey, what's going on everyone? Greg here, and it's a sad week because the AirPower charging mat has been officially laid to rest. It's canceled, it's not coming out. For people who are looking forward to that product, it is a real bummer. And honestly, I wasn't sure if I should even make a video covering the death of AirPower because honestly, there are so many videos covering this topic already. But after I saw so much misinformation and just blatantly really bad takes on why Apple decided to cancel AirPower, I thought it was my duty to give the audience, you guys, a proper explanation as to why this product failed and to why Apple decided to actually cancel it at the last minute. But to fully understand the full story of the AirPower charging mat, we have to go back to the beginning. AirPower was originally announced in 2017 during the introduction of the iPhone X and iPhone 8. These were the first iPhones available that supported the Qi wireless charging standard. Now, Apple did what they usually do best. They went on stage and announced a product that aimed to solve a lot of the problems that current wireless Qi chargers face, but also still work within the Qi wireless industry to help this technology spread across all Qi wireless charging mats, which is kind of unprecedented for Apple. Usually when Apple introduces something new, they use a proprietary technology that only they have access to. Now, AirPower itself did aim to get right what a lot of other Qi wireless chargers got wrong, and that was the elimination of the dead zone. So if you own a Qi wireless charger, if you ever used one in the past, there is a sweet spot where you're supposed to place your phone, and by aligning the coils, it charges the phone. Now, if you bump into that charger, if you slightly misalign it, if you have a phone that doesn't have a case on it, and if your phone vibrates in the middle of the night because of a phone call, it could slip off that sweet spot and not charge your device. Now, AirPower worked differently because it had multiple different small little Qi chargers underneath the mat. And from all the patents I've seen and from all the documentation I've seen, it looked like they were in a layout of 8 by 8 by 7, so around 23 different little pucks in this little charging mat. So not only did AirPower have 0 dead zones on the mat, but it also promised to charge multiple devices at once. In an ideal situation, you would have your iPhone, your Apple Watch, and of course your AirPods wireless charging case. And with all 3 of those devices, you could lay each of them on the mat and they would all charge on that single mat. Now, when Apple announced this product, they said they were working on it and it wasn't ready for launch, but they did promise that it would be coming later in 2018. Now, they didn't even specify when in 2018 it would come, if it would be coming early in 2018, or even if it would be all the way up to the end of the year. It just said AirPower coming in 2018. And as 2018 came and we started to wait, it looked like AirPower wasn't going to be released until the end of the year, but that date just kept going on and on and on. And that's when we started to hear the rumors and reports that something was wrong with AirPower's design that was preventing Apple from releasing it. And those reports were mainly that the AirPower charging mat was overheating. You had very prominent people in the press and media reporting that there were problems with AirPower. Most notably was John Gruber from Daring Fireball, who heard from a little birdie, he has some insiders that, obviously work at Apple, was that AirPower charging mat was overheating and that the Apple engineers didn't know how to solve the problem. Now, as we passed from 2018 into 2019, the strange thing was that usually when Apple misses a product deadline, they would issue a press release saying they need a little more time to work on the device to release it sometime the next year in 2019. We saw similar things when Apple announced the HomePod. It wasn't ready, they had to put a delay on it, and then they shipped it a few months later. But not the case with AirPower. AirPower wasn't even mentioned, and actually it got some mentions removed from Apple's website. And 2019 went on, and the reports started to change about AirPower from being a product that wasn't working to a product that Apple actually was fixed and was close to shipping. Even reports from notable analysts like Ming-Chi Kuo, who said that AirPower was going to be released this year, and even other people who are well known in the Apple community like Steve Troughton-Smith, who is an iOS developer who probably has a lot of friends at Apple. He said that the AirPower charging mat, from everything he heard, was very close to being fixed and that all the overheating problems were gone, that Apple actually solved the overheating issue with the AirPower charging mat. So everything looked good and was shaping up for a 2019 release. So with Apple potentially solving the heating issue for the AirPower charging mat, we thought that any day in 2019 we would see the release of AirPower. We got multiple reports that AirPower was going to be shipping at the end of March from multiple publications. The story even gets stranger a few weeks back as Tim Cook starts to announce multiple products on his Twitter feed, with the last product he announced being the AirPods with the wireless charging case, the product that only really existed as an accessory for AirPower itself. So with the release of the AirPods with the wireless charging case, many people were asking, where is AirPower? Because this was basically a product that was designed to go with that AirPower charging mat, and it was missing in action. The story gets even stranger when people started receiving their AirPods. There was mentions of AirPower on the AirPods box with the wireless charging case, or if you purchase the wireless charging case separately, even a full picture of the AirPower wireless charging mat right on the box. So everyone concluded that AirPower must still be releasing. It's not like Apple to slip up like this and release multiple images and multiple references to AirPower. Even code in iOS 12.2 pointed to the fact that AirPower was imminent in its release. Even hidden code in Apple's own website showed the AirPower charging mat with an updated photo of the iPhone XS and the AirPods wireless charging case. And from everything I've researched and every rumor I've read, it looked like Apple might have sorted out the overheating issue on the AirPower charging mat. So with that problem being solved, it looked like Apple was actually ready to ship AirPower, but then something else went horribly wrong. Now, the ending of the story majorly comes from an article written by iFixit, and they put some really compelling evidence as to why Apple canceled AirPower at the last possible second. Now, for this next part, I'm just going to read what iFixit wrote, because this is really interesting information. Electricity being transmitted to your phone isn't perfectly clean or ideal. It generates some noise which can interfere with other wireless devices. That's why the FCC and regulatory bodies in other countries set strict limits on wireless emissions. Noise from a single coil might not be a problem, but each charging coil generates a slightly different waveform. When those waves overlap, the constructive interference intensifies their strength, just like when two ocean waves collide and combine their height, radio frequencies can combine their intensity as they interact. Managing these overlapping harmonic frequencies is incredibly challenging, and it gets harder the more coils that you are integrating. From patent filings, it looks like Apple's ambitious plan was to use considerably more coils than other charging pads on the market. The iFixit story even continues with them inviting an engineer to talk about the hurdles that Apple probably faced later in the development of AirPower. William Lumpkins, VP of Engineering on iFixit. Over the time, these harmonics add up and they become really powerful signals in the air. And that can be difficult. That can stop someone's pacemaker if it's too high of a level, or it could short circuit someone's hearing aid. If Apple's multi-coil layout was spinning off harmonics left and right, it's possible AirPower couldn't muster with US or EU regulations. Well, so what always happens is you get functional first. No one looks at electromagnetic interference until the end. And I really think this explains the AirPower story so perfectly. Why was Apple working until the last second? Why were they still putting the AirPower charging mat on the boxes of the AirPods 2 wireless case? Why did they announce the cancellation at the last possible second? Was because that they probably solved that overheating issue, and just like the iFixit article mentions, the last thing they would look at is these waves in the air interfering with other things. And at that time, Apple must have got so frustrated and just realized that this product had way too many headaches to keep continuing, and that they could not solve the issue that they set out to solve. Even if Apple got past the regulations of the FCC, These products could have potentially disabled pacemakers or short-circuited other products. These AirPower charging mats could have potentially killed someone, which is ultimately why I think that Apple decided not to ship it and not to work further on it. Now, I do want to state that these are just theories. They're not 100% factual, but based on all of the evidence I've read from this AirPower saga, this is the most likely conclusion I can draw to, unless the Apple hardware engineers who worked on AirPower eventually tell us what exactly went wrong. But based on what we're going to learn at this point, I think this is the best possible story that we can go with that even has scientific evidence and engineers who have worked on similar problems to back up what possibly went wrong at the last second. In the end, AirPower will be looked upon as a really big failure for modern day Apple, and hopefully Apple has learned a lesson in the dangers of pre-announcing a product that isn't ready to go. But anyway, that's just my take on this whole AirPower charging situation. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This has been a very interesting story, at least. It's not often we see Apple cancel a product they announce. So let me know in the comments below what you think about this whole AirPower saga. If you like the video, make sure you leave me a like. If you want to see more from my channel, make sure you're subscribed. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.